Everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we're going to talk about what reality are we in? Now, a lot of people don't realize that we shift realities all day long. We don't wake up in one and stay in that reality all day. Not necessarily. Now, we can wake up in one and stay in it all day long, but that's normally not what we will do. We'll shift in and out depending on where we are. If we go outside and it is a very chaotic, energetic day, you might find yourself getting triggered by certain things that are said to you, or just certain things you're witnessing, or certain things you're hearing, different frequencies of what people are saying. And that might send you in a totally different reality because it's triggering an emotion to come up. Anytime we have an emotion coming up, what I will always say is just get away from everybody. Because our human aspects, our human consciousness will project our emotions. Even if we won't project it on the person that made us angry, we'll take it out on someone else later. That's just how the human DNA operates. It doesn't think about the other people around it when it's in a reality. It thinks about itself. Now, the more conscious we become, we start to realize that, yes, I might get triggered. Yes, I might not be having an awesome experience right now because I've entered into a totally different reality than the one I started in. Now, this video is not going to get too much into what do you do? What do you do? Run back inside. That's one thing you can do is get away from other people. See if you can center yourself back into a different reality, a higher reality. Not to judge the other ones, but there's some frequencies that are higher than other frequencies, and we can feel more in them. We feel more connected in certain ones. Everything's flowing awesomely, and then we'll hit one where it doesn't feel so awesome. But we hit those so we can clear certain things out of our programming, certain things out of our DNA. We never hit those realities that don't feel awesome anymore, then we don't have the opportunity to do that or to look at that. Our human aspect won't want us to look at that. It'll put a whole story around why it happened. It'll put a whole story around what activated that reality. And there will be times when we won't know what activated that reality. There's sometimes we will know. There are certain things I can look at different people's realities and see that there were some points in the reality that activated everything that just happened. Now that can occur. You might have a reality that lasts for 20 minutes. You might have one that lasts for 2 months or for 10 years. It really doesn't matter. It has to do more with the people in the reality and their level of consciousness to move through it and how quickly they're supposed to move through it. Because as I've said in a lot of videos, if you're supposed to move through something faster, you'll get through it. You will be in a certain place at a certain time, even if you have to be dragged there by your higher aspects or your galactic aspects. You will be where you're supposed to be. That's why a lot of people will choose realities that might feel harsher to the human, where people will go through different medical treatments that'll kill off a lot of their human DNA, a lot of their human cells, activate some of their galactic DNA. They'll start to resemble more galactic aspects of themselves. A lot of different treatments, people have hair loss because they start looking more like their galactic counterparts. And you can see people that track through different realities because that was the quickest way to get them in certain places. And that's not to really not have compassion for the people in them, but sometimes you can see why people chose certain things. And we do choose our realities. There's always a point where we make a decision and it activates another reality. And there'll be times when you see that and times when you won't know what you did. You won't know why you're here. And that's happened to me quite a bit. Where how did I get here? What reality did I just enter into? How do you know which one you're in? Sometimes I can tell. I'm going to go through I wasn't going to go through a couple of reasons why I could tell, but I think I'm going to head that way in this video. Sometimes the people in the reality will give me an idea of which one I'm in because I play out a different role in certain realities. I represent something different for certain people than I do with other people. So if certain people pop in, I know I'm in a certain reality. I'm going to work on clearing this thing. There's one person I always run into, and that person always helps me clear out different programming. And that's a day where I'm going to clear out programming. That's the reality I'm in right now because that person's in it, and that's the one person that gets to me. Where another time, I'm going to see someone else, and I might act as more of helping someone clarify something. I'm more of a a guide in a sense to that person. But usually those two people can't be in the same reality. They don't show up together ever. These lines do not meet because they're in a separate reality. I'm in a different frequency when I'm with both types of people, because I'm playing out a different role. One's for me to clear out programming, and if I'm acting in, and it might even be I'm acting in out of a karmic timeline I'm trying to clear with this person, but over here I'm a guide to this person. Well, I can't work through my stuff and be in my highest place to be a guide to someone else. Now I can work through my stuff and not project my stuff, maybe not be at the highest aspect of myself, normally not when you're clearing your own stuff. And that's when I normally will go be by myself to kind of clear it and be in my highest place to deal with this person over here. So I normally can tell where I'm at, and sometimes it's kind of a timeline. I'll know what timeline I'm in based on who's around, and if I have a lot of very human aspects around, I know I'm either going to act as a guide to those people, or I'm usually both, or I'm going to be clearing more of my human stuff. Because a lot of people will say, oh, well, this person's unconscious or this person's unconscious. Well, they're still in our reality. There's still an unconscious aspect of us. We still hold that somewhere in our DNA, or they can't be there. It's not possible for them to be there. So you can look at who's in the reality. That'll usually give you a point of whether you're clearing, whether you're supposed to be more of a guide. We're in all the realities for a reason. We can be with the most unconscious people, what we would deem as the most unconscious people, but we're still there for a reason. We're there to guide them through perhaps a level of their ascension. Maybe not, we're not going to do it openly in a sense. We just might sneak certain things in there, sneak crystals, sneak Indaras, sneak different books, drop different words we might use from time to time that are a higher vibrational word. Just our presence, if we're in a certain frequency, brings up the reality. And we're in certain ones to do that. Sometimes you'll see certain things flip. Like you'll do one thing, like you say you pay a bill one day and the next day, or maybe a week later, you never paid the bill, but you really thought you did. That happens to me repeatedly, where I'll pay different bills for the month, and then 3 weeks later I didn't pay them, but I knew I did it, but I shifted a reality and I'm not in that timeline anymore. Food will go bad in one reality, and you check like the milk the next time and it's not bad anymore because in that reality it hasn't happened yet. It can be a little discombobulating. You'll start to have deja vu moments where one thing will happen and then it'll happen again. And you're like, didn't we do this? It can be like Groundhog's Day sometimes. There's certain markers you'll have, and I have my own and what reality I'm in, what's my role in that reality. Sometimes we don't know our role till after we're kind of out of the reality, and we can see it in hindsight why we're there. Sometimes we'll see just a glitch. A lot of people will call it like a glitch in the Matrix, just like the first movie. I don't really remember the second or the third. I think his was the black cat. Anytime they reset something, a black cat would come across, and you're like, oh, I'm in a different one. You'll see certain things glitch in your outside world. Energetically, you might see one thing happen, you'll turn around and see like a glitch in it. That's when you start getting very energetically perceptive, and you start noticing the glitches when something shifts. Sometimes it can be a very slight shift, and sometimes it can be a more dramatic shift. Sometimes it can be a shift with a person. You expect one person to act a certain way and you get a totally different aspect of that person. But a lot of times, well, all the time, we shift so we can shift it. It always starts with us. Things might feel like they go south for us sometimes because we're clearing something, or we're just not showing the best of ourselves, the highest aspects of ourselves, so we're not getting that back. Other times we are, and we can shift the reality. We always are in power to shift our realities. We're never a victim to somebody else's. So look at where your signs are. Look at what reality you're in. Look at how old you're being. That's another one. If I say something like, oh, that person doesn't like me, I'm 15 or I'm 5 or 6, depending on what aspect I am in that moment. And that's another clue for me that, yeah, I'm maybe not my highest aspect right now. So take a look and keep practicing the art of intuition.